Okay, our first lesson is unit rates and ratios. In your learning target, you can create ratios and identify unit rate and better buys between two or more quantities. I want you to know that ratio compares to quantities. A ratio. If you remember back in Unit 2-ish, when we talked about what's a rational number, and we defined a rational number as any number that can be written as a ratio, a over b, such that a and b are integers and b doesn't equal 0. Meaning it's a fraction. A ratio is really a fraction that compares two things. Typically we're used to it comparing as numbers, but it can be cat to dog. Okay? It can be anything. It can be girls to boys, teacher to students, iPads to iPhones, Samsung to iPhones. It can be anything. And a unit rate represents how much for one. 3 ways to rate ratios. The first and most popular way is a fraction. Fraction. The second method or way to write it is with the colons. So you could do A is to B. So then a fraction would be A over B. But everything means A is to B. Like cat is to dog here. Okay? So that the fraction bar and the colons represent is to. And the other one is the word to. A to B. Those are the 3 ways. Most popular is the fraction. All right, so you are required, given a situation, you need to create the ratio that represents it. So let's say that in a class there are 15 girls and 17 boys. Find the ratio of the following. Girls to boys. So I want girl over boy. Girl is to boy. The first one is always what goes on top. Always. So how many girls are there? 15 girls. And how many boys?
17.
17. Perfect. That's, yay, I can do that all day, right? Not too much algebra. Boys to total. So that's what's first. Boy is to total. So 17 boys, how many total?
32.
Yep, and maybe you want to write this down because there's a lot of totals because there's total ones and kids always mess up the total ones. You actually have to add them. So total is really girl plus boy, which is really 15 plus 17, and you guys said was 32. All right, is that simplified? Yes, that's simplified. All right, that's learning target number 1. Given a situation, you create the ratio that represents it. The first thing always goes on top. Sometimes you need a total where you have to add them. Okay, so next situation, there are 4 left-handed students to 22 right-handed. What is the ratio of left hand to total? So I want left is to total. How many left?
4.
4, and then Keegan, how many right, or how many total?
22.
No, 22 right-handed.
26.
26, right? I have my left hand and my right hand, so my total is 4 plus 22, 26. Then you must simplify. You have to. Have to simplify. Divide them both by 2, 2 over 13. That is my ratio of left-handed to total kids. So what that means in real life context is if I have 13 kids, I should have about 2 left-handed kids for every 13. That's what that means. There must be 2 teachers per 60 students. express this ratio in simplest form. So what am I comparing? Huh? Tell me. Teachers to what? Yeah, teacher is to students. Right? Teacher is to students. How many teachers?
2.
2. How many students?
2.
Okay, and then simplify it. 1 teacher per 30 kids. There are 50 oranges for every 120 apples. What is the ratio of apple to orange? So that means I want apple is to orange. That's what that means. I want apple is to orange. How many apples?
120.
120 apples. How many oranges?
50.
50, and then simplify it. 12 apples is to 5 oranges. How do you feel? Do you feel like you can create a ratio given a word phrase?
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we can create ratios, we want to work on this identifying unit rates. Remember, we defined unit rate as the amount for one. I do need you to know this is huge all throughout this whole unit. Money is on top. It will always be on top. When you think about you bought 5 shirts for $32, you want to know how much for one shirt. It's money is to shirt. Or money is to something. Money is always on top. Okay? So it will always be money over something. Okay, you rode your bike 16 miles in 2 hours. I want to know the amount of one. So I have miles is to hours, don't I? Miles is to hours. Well, if 16 miles in 2 hours, do anybody remember how to find the unit rate? Parker?
It's on the top is distance and the bottom is time and rate. So if it's if you're trying to find the distance, you do rate times time.
Okay.
And then if you're trying to find like rate or time, it's distance divided by rate or time.
So you're dividing? Yeah, so you're using last unit strategy, that triangle. Awesome. That's awesome that you're using that. A quick way to do it, anytime you're finding the amount for one, you divide. Dividing the ratio, the top divided by bottom, so that's pretty much what you do. Top divided by bottom tells you how much for one. So 16 over 2, well, is 8 miles per hour. So 8 miles in 1 hour. Okay? If you mow 6 lawns, you got $34.50. I want to know how much did you get for 1 lawn. So you do dollar's always on top, money over lawn. So $34.50 over 6 is something, definitely a calculator unit. $34.50 divided by 6, you didn't get a very good deal. You only got $5.75 for each lawn you mowed. Definitely, if you do something this summer, charge more than that. But adults are always looking for kids to mow our lawns. So if you're looking for ways to make money, weed, offer to mow lawns, we out.
My dad likes mowing lawns.
Yeah, well, a typist earns $105 for 10 pages. I want to know how much for 1 page. So money is to page. There's a reason I'm writing my ratios down. There's a reason I'm writing what I'm comparing, because it's going to help us tomorrow. Money is to page. $105 is to 10 pages, which is $10.50 per page. And we need to be able to interpret in original context. That's the standard. 575 isn't interpreting. I have to say, what is that 575? 575 per line. You do have to write that. That shows you're meeting the standard, that you know what that 575 means. Okay. 45 buckaroos for 6 shirts. So I'm talking about money is 2 shirts. 45 bucks for 6 shirts. For 1 shirt, you just divide them. 45 divided by 6 is equal to $7.50. Not done. For what?
For sure.
Per shirt. 520 miles in 7 hours. What do you think should go on top? Hours or miles? Miles should go on top because I want to know how many miles in 1 hour. So you should go mile over hour. 520 over 7 is 74-ish. 74 miles per hour. All right, so you're going to have to create ratios today. You're going to have to identify unit rates. That's where you just divide them. Last thing, you're going to have to identify better buys, which means cheaper. What's cheaper? Us adults love the better buys. So you want to find each unit price and then compare. So that's the previous thing we did. So, which is a better buy? Explain your answer. Your math explains your answer. It's whatever's cheaper is the better buy. Okay. So a 25-pound of crate of oranges for 16 bucks, or a 20-pound crate of oranges for $13.50. Which one is better? Well, I want to know how much for one. So I'm going to go dollar over crate. That's what I'm going to do for everything. Dollar over crate. How much money for 1 crate? Or 1 pound. It's pound, isn't it? Not crate. It's pound. Dollar is to pound. Okay, so 16 is to 25, right? Which is 64 cents per pound. 64 cents a pound. And then a 20-pound crate for $13.50. Well, it would be $13.50 over 20, because dollar over pound. That's 68 cents. So which one's the better buy? Which one's cheaper? A is cheaper. So you would say 25-pound crate is better buy. Or just write 25-pound. I don't care. But explaining, this is explaining. Your math explains it. If I can see that you found each unit rate, you're good. It's not always the one that's more. Like Costco, for instance, if you're buying all these like paper towels that come to like a lot of money, like 20 bucks for 8 rolls or 12 rolls or something, it's not always a better buy to go and buy the bulk. They make you think that, but if you actually calculate it, it's not always a better buy.
Please excuse the interruption. Students who are
Okay, last one. I want to know what's the better buy, buying 3 pairs of pants for $42.50 or 7 for 94 bucks. So I want to know how much money per pair of pants. So I'm going to go $42.50 over 3, 42.5 divided by 3 equals $14.17. Make sure you round. Money only goes 2 decimal spots. And then you go $94 is to 7 pants. $13.43. Which one's the better buy? The 7 pants for 94 bucks. Not by much though, huh? Not by much. But definitely the better buy. So just to summarize here in my last 30 seconds available, if you're looking for better buys, you find each unit price and then compare which one's cheaper, which of course means less money. Ratios are comparing 2 things. Sometimes you have to find that total. But it's a nice, and unit rate, you divide the 2.